we'd like to now welcome Mr. Mkhuleko Hlengwa, who is the IFP spokesperson, who will be joining us for more reaction to the ICJ ruling. As you've heard, a lot of people as well as political parties hailing South Africa for taking, of course, Israel to the International Court of Justice there, as well as welcoming the ruling, which seemingly is in favor of South Africa, but most saying that the court should have still had a pretty adamant stance on whether or not a ceasefire should have not been called for. All right, I think we do have Mr. Mkhuleko Hlengwa, who's joining us from the IFP. Mkhuleko, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show. Look, what is the IFP's reaction to the ICJ ruling?
Good afternoon, and thank you much for the opportunity. We fundamentally believe that it sets into motion correctly a legitimate process to revive the peace process, the negotiations towards a two-state solution for both Israel and Palestine. We reiterate our call as the IFP, and wanting again to reiterate the call for the smooth facilitation of humanitarian aid and assistance to the affected areas. We do believe that this process requires the international community to rally around all the affected and interested parties, namely Palestine, Israel, and Hamas, and other allied forces in the region, to ensure that we arrive at a smooth, facilitation of processes. And we do believe that this judgment sets the parameters and creates an environment which should be conducive enough to press the reset button on negotiations. Ultimately, the end goal really should be the full realization of a two-state solution of two nations living side by side.
But Mkhuleko, I mean, judging by the stance of Israel, even as the ICJ ruling was being handed out, do you foresee Israel actually abiding by this order and ceasing the destruction of Palestinians in Gaza?
Well, one can't prophesy in terms of what they can and cannot do, but what we need to do is continue applying pressure, is continue making the calls for this particular negotiation to take place and discussions to take place, and to support the peace process. And we believe that the United Nations and the Arab League, amongst others, are key and central players to this negotiation, because peace and stability in Israel and Palestine is for the betterment of the entire region and the international community. We are really calling on Israel to respect the judgment, and we are calling on Israel to commit itself to the process and to fresh negotiations on this matter, because it is not going to be sustainable to continue on a trajectory of war and violence as we have seen, and we do believe that women and children are adversely affected. And so the diplomatic relations and diplomatic channels need to be constantly open in order to apply the necessary pressure for Israel to come to the negotiating table, as we are calling on Palestine as well to come to the negotiating table.
Mkhuleko, thank you so much for your time.